Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are looking at the MLB PrizePicks plays for Tuesday. We have a monster slate tonight, 15 games on the main slate, so we have a bunch of props to pick from. Let's go ahead and get into it. As always, if you enjoyed the videos, appreciate it for the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely follow me on Twitter for more updates. I post more PrizePick stuff on there. I post a lot of parlays. Yesterday, I posted one, and that was plus 923 leg, and we hit that one. So if you played that, made 10 extra money. And then I posted some MLB PrizePicks plays yesterday. Didn't have a video out, but went 3-1. Hit the Nerfy in the Phillies game. Nola under hits and hit Brady Singer strikeouts. But Ian Anderson wasn't able to go 6 innings. He got pulled after 4, or in the middle of his 5th inning. So let's go ahead and get started. Today, the first prop I like is I'm going with some strikeout props today. They do not have the pitching outs board out yet, but that one is one that if you do look on props.cash, that one is one that I would look to, especially if they have Sean Manaea at 17.5, or if they have him at 18, which they have had him last time out. Took the over there. He's gone at least 6 innings in every start except for one. And I think the start that he might have not gone 6 innings might have been opening day. I'm not 100% positive, but this one is a 91% hit rate. If it is a similar number on PrizePicks, if it's at 18, I'd still take the over. Just the Cubbies don't have a great offense. They have some strikeout hitters, and Sean Manaea has been pitching very well this season. So keep that in mind. Other ones that you could take the over once this does get posted would be Shane Bieber, even though he's in Coors. Still think he can go 6 innings. But in terms of the strikeout props, a couple that stick out would be, these wouldn't be ones that I'm playing right now in my out of my 3, but Dane Dunning is at 4 strikeouts, and if you look at Dane Dunning, it's not the best matchup against the Astros. They don't strike out a ton, but he's hit this a lot this season. He's gone at least 4 strikeouts. Well, you need 5 strikeouts, but still, if you bump this line up to 4, he's hit this in 9 out of 11 starts. So if you need 5 strikeouts, it's been 75% of the time that he's hit this year, which is what we'll need to hit the over. But even if he gets you 4 strikeouts, that could be a push. So it's not the worst thing. So that one is definitely one that I'm looking at. But the first one is going to be Chris Bassett, that I'm taking the over strikeouts for him. He's at 5.5. This one, I've been playing Chris Bassett a lot this year on PrizePicks, just taking the over. Or I've been recommending him, and it's been working out a bunch. If we look at the matchup here, the Brewers do strike out a lot. They have one of the lowest batting averages in general, just as a team. Batting just a little bit north of 210, I believe, and lots of strikeouts in this lineup. So if we pull up the info over here on RotoGrinders Plate IQ, we can look at the lineup, and you see a bunch of hitters with 20+% K rates. It's headlined by Adames at 28%, McCutchen at 25%, Renfroe at 25%. In general, they're striking out about 23%, and you're getting a pretty even mix between righties and lefties. And for Chris Bassett, it's been not too much of a difference in the strikeouts, 24.4 against lefties, 25.5 against righties for Chris Bassett. And look at his recent numbers. He's hit this in 9 out of his 12 starts this season. If we look back to last year as well, he's still hitting this at a 67% clip. This projected odds would be about minus 200, and he does have some sample history against these Brewers hitters, and he has done pretty well against them. He has a couple strikeouts and 3 plate appearances against Yelich. He struck out Adames all 3 times. He struck out Renfroe once, Tellez, Carantini 50% out of the 2 plate appearances. And Kane isn't even expected to be in the lineup. I don't think he plays every day. So it's not too much to worry about there. That's the first prop going with. The second one is going to be Dylan Cease over 7.5 strikeouts. This one is going up against Detroit, which is another matchup I think we can exploit. They're about middle of the pack here, 8.48. But the thing about Detroit is that they are dead last in MLB in runs per game. So they're just not making opposing pitchers work. So we're seeing a lot of pitchers go deep into games against them. If we look at the runs per game, we can see that Detroit's by far the dead last by about half a run, which is embarrassing. They're behind Oakland by half a run and Pittsburgh by almost 3/4 of a run. So a guy like Dylan Cease, who we pull up his trends and his stats for this year, he's hit this about 66% of the time. Just looking at this year's sample, he's hit this 8 out of his 12 starts. A couple of them, he's just gone absolutely bonkers with 11 Ks. Look back to last year, he's hitting this about 44% of the time if you look at all the numbers from last year, but he's been a different pitcher this year. He's going deeper into games. He does have one matchup against the Tigers already this season, which was opening day, which he threw just under 80 pitches, which now he's throwing well over 100. If he's pitching well, they let him through 110 last game. So first game against Detroit, he only threw 79, but he had 8 Ks against them. And we're seeing his pitch count go up to 100 plus. So a great sign. Looking at this matchup here, he does have a lot of history against them and does have strikeout upside against most of these hitters. If we pull up the stats over here on Plate IQ, we can look at the lineup more in depth and really go in order about which guys he probably will be able to strike out. So looking up the Detroit hitters, we know Baez strikes out a bunch. He's sitting at 32% this year. I mean, that could be like 2 or 3 strikeouts right there. Just so many strikeouts in this lineup. Only guys that don't strike out too much would be Meadows at 17.1 and maybe like Castro, the couple lefties here. But in general, this guy is striking out lefties and righties at 32%. He's not giving up a ton of damage. He should go deep into the game. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets you 7 strong. Maybe he gets you like into the 8th inning. And you can even like mess around with pitches, fastballs over 96 and just see how often these guys whiff, and there is some guys that whiff a lot. So, give me 8 strikeouts for Dylan Cease. That's one that I do like. And then another one would be Zach Eflin over 4.5 strikeouts going up against the Miami Marlins. So he gets a matchup against the Miami Marlins, who do strike out a good amount as well. Look at their, pull up their stats here on the strikeouts. They're right behind Baltimore for striking out the 6th most times in baseball per game this year. And Zach Eflin's numbers are pretty low right now on PrizePicks. This one might get bumped up to 5. Last start, he had 2 strikeouts in the first inning and then just didn't have any strikeouts the rest of the way. We can blame, I believe Willy Adames had like 29 pitches that Zach Eflin accounted for was to Willy Adames. He had like 2 really, really long at-bats north of 10 pitches, which only let Eflin throw 4 innings, which he typically doesn't do. If you look here on OddsJam, we can see that right now on PrizePicks, this number's at 4.5, and if you compare it to sportsbooks like PointsBet, this Zach Eflin over 4.5 Ks is at minus 350 on PointsBet. It's at minus 225 on FanDuel. So we're getting great numbers here. You can do the same thing for the other two and just compare the odds. So right now, Zach Eflin is about 1 full run lower than it is on other sportsbooks in terms of the over-under. If we pull up his stuff here on Props.Cash, we can see that overall, it's been not a great strikeout season for Zach Eflin, but still, we're getting a full run lower than it should be. If we look at this year, he's hit this number 4 out of his 10 times, but he's hit it in 3 out of 5. And like I said, against Milwaukee, just had a good start to the game, 2 Ks in the first inning, but had some long at-bats against Willy Adames, which cost him only to let him only go 4 innings and threw like close to 100 pitches. He had 96 pitches in 4 innings. Just wasn't that comfortable. But early on, he was throwing like with Joe Girardi, he was letting him throw like 81, 86, 91, and 85, 84. But recently, new skipper for the Phillies. They're winning games. They've now won 10 of 11. They have let Zach Eflin throw more, and they're letting their starting pitchers go a little bit more. So he's throwing 101, 96 pitches. And even Joe Girardi did let him throw more here, but we're seeing more consistency out of the starting pitchers and letting them go deeper into games. He has faced the Marlins a bunch, just being with the Phillies his whole career and being in the same division here. So in terms of guys that he has success striking out would be Aguilar. Jazz strikes out. He has struck out Jazz 5 times at 13 at-bats. Struck out Garrett Cooper 5 times. If we pull up the stuff on Plate IQ, we can look at it closely. And the Phillies are just rolling right now, so I expect them. Last night was a lower scoring game, so I expect the Phillies to be able to put up some more runs today against the lefty and Trevor Rogers. But looking up the Marlins hitters today, Jazz striking out 28% of the time, Cooper striking out 25, Soler 24, Sanchez 28. Lots of strikeouts here. A couple guys that don't strike out too much would be like Rojas and occasionally Aguilar, but in general, you're getting a bunch of strikeouts up and down this lineup. I do believe Zach Eflin will be able to come through for us and get us 5 Ks. Lots of righties here as well. You're looking at 2 lefties. So 7 righties, 2 lefties, and that's great news for Zach Eflin. Strikeout righties 22.5%, but the exit velocity is 3 miles per hour lower. The ISO is 20 points lower. The hard hit rate is lower by almost 5%, like 4%. So good news for Zach Eflin facing off against a predominantly right-handed lineup. So those are the 3 props I got for you guys. I really like them all. If Sean Manaea's pitching outs is at like 17.5 or 18, take the over. Worst case, he gets you 6 innings. but best case would be getting over 7 like you did last time out. So that's it for the PrizePicks video. Best of luck. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. You can follow me on Twitter for updates, and I will see you all next time.